Palacio del Rio, the Palace of the River, built 2 days before the World's Fair in 1968 it opened up. Now, this started construction in the fall of 1967 and finished in March of 1968. 202 days. It gained a Guinness Book World Record. It was the tallest hotel built in the fastest amount of time. Now, you can see a difference in the design from the first 4 floors and every room up above that. You see how the construction's kind of a little bit different. Now, the reason why is because the engineering company, H.B. Zachary, did a very unique process of building it. They had the first 4 floors built right here on site, including the elevator shafts up to the top floor. Every room up above the 4th was individually constructed. Every single room was squared off and completed individually. They then moved, and they were all completed in a site 8 miles away from here. They moved them from that site to another site when they were completed to furnish each room. They added the beds, the ceiling fans, all the electronics, the rugs, those lamps you see on the balcony. Everything was added to the rooms. They then brought those from 2 miles away on flatbed trucks. Then they used cranes to stack each room one on top of the other. They lifted and stacked each room. They estimated around 35 rooms a day. If anyone ever told you that you knew of a building that was constructed 35 rooms a day, the Hilton Palacio did. Palace of the River. Now, one of the Works Project administrators, pretty funny story, he actually sat on one of those balconies with his wife as they lifted the room and put it up into place. Kind of an amusement construction ride for the company there. Now here on the left is the La Vita, the little village of San Antonio that I mentioned, the first neighborhood established. Now the Alamo was constructed in 1718. Back then it was actually known as the Mission of San Antonio de Valero, okay? And Texas was actually known as New Spain. It was land granted by the King of Spain. So he stationed some soldiers here at the Alamo, and they designed this neighborhood by about 1722, about 4 years after it was constructed. So in the 1800s, French and German settlers that came to the area redesigned it, and then General Santa Anna, who fought in the Battle of the Alamo for Mexico, he lined his cannon lines up on these hills to bombard the Alamo from a block and a half away. The Alamo's right on the other side of the River Center Mall, so it's about a block and a half away from here. This is the Arneson River Theater, added during the Riverwalk construction, 41. And this stage on the right was added in 1968 for the World's Fair. It's also featured in the Miss Congeniality movie, if you've seen it, starring Sandra Bullock. They have a swimsuit model contest on this stage here in the movie. Now, up ahead on the right, this is my favorite museum of the river, the Briscoe Western Art Museum. Plenty of historical Western artifacts held here. General Santa Anna, who I've mentioned fought in the Alamo, the El Presidente of Mexico, he had a ceremonial sword, and that is actually held in this museum. We also have Pancho Villa's last known saddle. He was a Mexican revolutionary. This sculpture here is a cowboy wrangling his cattle, given to us a few years after the museum opened. They're celebrating their 5th year anniversary from opening in 2013. This was given to us, I think, in 2014, 2015. You can also see my great uncle, John Wayne, on the back wall there, riding his horse. That statue there. Up ahead is the Fresa Street Bridge, lowest street bridge. We're going to course under it. It's all iron, so please remain seated. Just the right height to knock out your boat captain. No, I'm kidding, folks. We're all safe here. But up ahead on the right is the Marriage Island. Now, this is where our city's namesake took place. Back in 1691, there was a Catholic priest named Damien Massenet that held a Catholic Mass here on the river. And this part's for having a low water level. And he held that Mass on the Catholic feast day of St. Anthony, which is June 13th. So that day he named our city and our river San Antonio. And you can see where these folks are sitting now. Those are actually dedications to Massenet's tables. This island is made of the roots growing out of the cypress tree that it resides on. You can see all the way around the edge is nothing but roots that's actually forming the island itself. That tree's over 200 years old. We host over 300 marriage ceremonies here every year, and they're set to date back to the Mexican Revolution. Also to bring your future great fortune and luck if you get married here on the river. I've witnessed about 30 ceremonies in the past month and a half or so. Most of them occur on the weekends. A lot of them are on the island or somewhere around here. You'll be seeing a lot of people taking photos and ceremonies going on some of the walkways here. Oh, they just added some lights to the Bexar County Courthouse. But take a look here on the left, and you'll see the second tallest tower of the city. Brightly having holiday seasonal lights, brightly lighting the rooftop there. Usually those red and green lights are golden. You can see them from all around the San Antonio area. This is the Tower Life building, constructed in 1929. It was actually built originally as the Smith & Young building for their insurance company. It's now the Tower Life Insurance building. And when the Smith & Young company purchased this building for $3.2 million to have it constructed, the Young brothers were a very superstitious family, so they added some features in the design. Take a look at the gargoyles circling the rooftop there. And just above the first floor, above these two orange lights, you can see some grotesque faces built into the wall design, about 12 feet above street level. These were added as features as a superstition to ward off evil spirits and bad business decisions. But in 1929, the building was constructed. It was the same year the stock market crashed, formed the Great Depression here in America. So they were actually forced to auction this building off, selling it for about $350,000. Roughly 1/10 of what was used to purchase the building is what they sold it for. They got back about 10 cents for every dollar they spent there. So I guess those gargoyles were going to do their job in warding off those evil spirits and superstitions. Up ahead, you see the building with the brightly lit bell tower there, those white lights going up the side. It's a red brick building up ahead of us. That's the Bexar County Courthouse, opened 1897. That building is the oldest standing courthouse building in the state of Texas, still functioning today. I actually got to go in there in a couple of days. I got a speeding ticket on my boat here on the river. Everyone take a look back at the Tower Life building behind us though, folks. One last look at the lower section of the building. It's separate from the tower there. Some people say that lower part of the building looks like the Titanic exiting the tower right into the river. You can see the railings up on the top where Jack held Rose in the movie. You see that? She was doing this on the front. Some people say you can hear ghost horns coming from the Titanic at night on the river here. It's pretty crazy. We also have a floodgate system here. This is floodgate number 4. We're entering the flood channel now. The floodgates actually raise up from underneath the waters here behind us. And we got some signal bells to notify any captains in the area up above. Now, that's number 4, the starting of the horseshoe. It actually goes out that way to the east and it comes all the way back up ahead of us to floodgate 3. Number 5 is all the way back behind us. So Robert Hugman designed these because of the flood I mentioned from 1921. City streets submerged up to 9 feet in water. There was a counted number of deaths that occurred as well. It was recorded around 50 due to the flood. So he created these floodgates to prevent the water levels from rising up above the walkways back there in the horseshoe bay. It's been successful since 1941. It actually drops down to 15 feet below the level where we are now. This is why we have our life preservers. You can see the boat I was driving yesterday right here on the right under those ducks. I'm kidding, folks. We got a perfect record. We got no boats underwater. But here on the left, you can see San Antonio's lovelock system up on the fences here above us. This is a tradition that started in Russia and moved over to France. What people do when they get engaged or married or fall in love. I actually have 3 locks on that fence up there. Should have used that combination idea. Could have had the same lock the whole time. Just scratch the names out, I guess. Here on the left, you'll see a very significant entrance to the river, the main plaza entrance. All the way across the street on the left, take a look at those 2 golden bell towers. You see that there? That's the San Fernando Cathedral, founded in 1731. They're only about 3 stories tall, but that's the oldest standing church building in the state of Texas, almost 300 years old. And it's where the center of the city is found. You can find an X on the floor in the middle of the church, inscribed into the ground as the center of San Antonio. We also rest ashes there from some of the defenders that lost their lives at the Battle of the Alamo in 1836. After their ashes were recovered, Now up ahead of us here on the right, you see where the river bends out around these poles here, these cement things. That is floodgate number 3. You see that big green wall up above? That drops down from up above like a guillotine. It's different than number 4. They actually test this one around 8:15, 8:20 every night. I'm not really sure what time it is, but I think we should be safe. I think we'll be okay. Also, folks, very sad to say we have come to the conclusion of the tour here tonight. We are at the end. Now, hopefully as a boat captain, I was able to capture a lot of San Antonio's history for you guys. Maybe take this back home to some friends and family and show them how awesome our city is and how much fun you can have on some of our cruises here at nighttime especially. And y'all chose the best time of the season to come down and view all the lights of the city. Also, folks, if you enjoyed your trip and had as much fun on the boat as I did showing you all the history here, tipping your boat captain for a job well done is always allowed and accepted by our company, and it's greatly appreciated by myself every time, Nick Wayne. Now, also, folks, I have to ask everyone to please remain seated until I lock the boat down to the dock here. If you stand up while I'm trying to lock it down, it makes the boat rock, and it's a lot harder for it to go ahead and tie down. So, please, respectfully, just remain seated. This should give you plenty of time to take a second look around for any personal belongings or valuables that you may have placed down or even left on the boat, but have no fear. If you do leave any items on the boat, it's very, very easy to get your items back, okay? Just log online to ebay.com. You might be able to place a bid in the morning. No, I'm kidding. We have a lost and found. Anything I find, I'll be sure to place in the lost and found for you. I'll lock this down, folks, for you all to continue on with your holiday and Riverwalk celebration. My name's Nick Wayne. I hope you all enjoyed it. Thank you very much. Just give me one last moment, okay?